Now that Christmas is over, leads into the next thing, the new year. So let's talk about it. We're gonna get deep today. What happened this year? Like 2024 feel like 2023? Well, you need to get it together because we're about to go into 2025. Good thing that you're here because I'm gonna help you figure out what you need to do for 2025. Specifically to you, right? Because what I need is different from what you need. So I'm gonna share my tips on how I prepare for the upcoming year.
Why is even visualizing goals important? Like, what's the whole point? Like, you want me to make like a little frame thing for what? Like, who's even gonna remember about that? But if you've been sitting here thinking about something over and over, and you have a whole year to work on it, well, yeah, get your ass up and go do it.
Big debate about vision boards and stuff. If it works for you, then do it. If it doesn't, don't do it. It's that simple. For me, I like a vision board, but actually my vision board, it was a flimsy piece of paper that just had a giant no on it. If you want to see my recap of this, I'll link it in the videos at the end of this so you can also watch it. Yeah, this was my vision board last year. Very basic. But you know what? It worked for me. Now this year, because I didn't like that basic bitch, it has all the glitz and glam I like. It's good images. So this is why I say do what works for you. So if you just need to write something down just to kind of get your mind going, do it. If you need a visual, do it. Whatever works for you. There's one really important thing. What goal are you setting? That determines whether or not you're going to be successful at completing it, right? So if your goal is be a professional ice skater and you've never like really ice skated, that's not really practical or impactful. Like, I don't know. Maybe if you ice skate 10 hours a day, then for an entire year you can get there. I don't know. I don't professionally ice skate. But what goal you set matters, because if you set the bar too high, you're gonna feel disappointed at the end. And you also don't want to set it too low, because the point is that you want to challenge yourself. This goes into the type of goals that I want to share with you guys so it can help you make your goals for 2025. Something called epic goals, right? We're gonna go through what that means. An epic, I wrote this down somewhere and I forgot. Hold on one second. See, I have no future as Vanna White, but I can still tell you what epic goals are. Enjoyable, practical, impactful, and challenging goals. Now, once you set those goals, there's a few things that you can do. So you have to form a new habit. You might actually need to take some steps. So how do you get from point A to point B? That's the whole big question after you decided, okay, I want to focus on this. How are you going to do that? Example, learning how to drive, right? How does that work throughout the year? Like, if I have no permit and I've never driven a car and I realize by the end of the year I want to be able to drive, how am I getting from point A to point B within the year to accomplish this? Comes into hand. This is where action planning comes in handy, because you're literally going to map out how am I going to work on this? First step is you got to get a permit, right? If you don't have one already. Then the second step would be to take lessons, right? And then the third step would be to actually take the driving exam so then you can get your license. Because sometimes we feel like we're not doing much, and then it's not until we stop and we realize, oh wait, I actually did this already, I did this already, and then you realize like you're actually actively working towards something. So you need an action plan for your goals. Don't write 1,000 goals because that's a lot of action planning that you're gonna have to do. Keep it simple. If this is your first time doing it, I'd recommend keeping it very simple. Make 4 simple goals that you want to work towards. And if it's something that you see that you can do this year, you can add on to it next year. Make it more complex, but keep it simple. So then you can also create a simple action plan that you can follow to fulfill your goals. I want to continue the conversation about simplicity, right? So there's a thing too when you're making your goal. What do we do in the meantime? Because we got all this on pen and paper and that's great. But what are we going to do in the meantime to kind of really help us throughout the year? Because 12 months is a long time, 52 weeks. What, 365, 366, depending on leap year. I think this year's a leap year. Like, how am I going to make sure that this is something that's actively in my mind? So besides visually seeing it with my vision board or piece of paper or whatever is going to be your reminder, going back and referencing my action plan around it, what am I going to do? I actually have 3 things you could do. You can track your habits around it. You can implement self-rewards, right? Treating yourself, good job. And you can also get a little bit creative with like how you're going about it as well. So my favorites, self-rewards. What I found the best when it comes to trying to form a new habit, trying to get yourself to progress towards something, is to reward yourself for the small ones. I'm a big advocate for making sure that you create little pockets of like self-reward throughout your journey. So here that I wanted to work on fitness. So every time I would work out, I would put like $2-3 in a jar, depending on how long I actually worked out. So if I worked out for 30 minutes, I'd put a certain amount. If I worked for an hour, I put a different amount. 3-4 months, I would see how much is like in that jar. And if I was consistently working out, whatever was in there, I was like, I can buy whatever BS I wanted. Like something I was like trying to motivate myself. Cause you know, motivation ain't easy to find. We all need it. We all need it. Like if you're waiting to be motivated to do something, you're never gonna do it. You gotta just do it. You know, it's like a closer reward associated to it. Just doing it feels a little bit better. So an example of tracking a habit, right? So say you want to, the good old one, fitness. I want to be fit. That takes repetition, right? That takes practice. That takes commitment. That takes time. It's not going to happen from like the 31st to the 1st and all of a sudden you're a fitness expert. It's not, it doesn't work that way. So a habit you probably have to instill is how many times a week are you going to start working out? And how do you increase that? You know? Or how are you eating? Like, what is your water intake? What is your nutritional value that you're giving your body to support your fitness? So tracking those things will help. So habit trackers that you can get offline for free. I'm really big into journaling. This year, I'm actually going to be trying to, I'm going to say, multiple journals. So I have my daily journal that, you know, I just kind of write my thoughts. And then I'm also going to be implementing a career journal. Dang, I have this down somewhere. I forgot what journals, but my proof is I have my notebooks. See, I'm going out of four. I will be making a video about that too if you're interested in like the different types of journaling and stuff. Track your habits. The last thing that I had mentioned out of the 3 to kind of help progress you throughout the year with the goals is simplicity versus like creativity for your goals. Like you can have a goal and it can be something very simple. Like how do you make it interesting and fun for you, right? Remember we're talking about epic? Like where's the enjoyable part? You know, that's a big part of like going through the goals. Like yes, it's going to be challenging. Yes, you want it to be impactful. You want it to be practical also, but like you want it to be enjoyable because that's going to make you like subconsciously work towards your goal. Because I definitely am working more around like self-care and like solo dating, like dating myself. That's something that I kind of started last year that I want to continue to bring into this year because I didn't really like consistently do it. I saw someone had created like a jar. It was like a solo date jar. So every time they wanted like a solo date, they would go in the jar and pick out what they would do for themselves. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool because it's hard to sit here and be like, what am I going to do? That makes it a little bit fun. So that's like a creative thing that helps support a very simple goal. Think about how you can implement like some creativity into something that you have that's very simple. Or if it's a very complex goal, like how do you make it simple? Example, one of my goals for this year is studying for a certification for my career. And, you know, studying for any type of certification is not easy. So dedicate the time. You have to retain the information. That's my problem. very simple, a very simple schedule. Like, how do I make it a part of my weekly process to get myself to consistently do it? Especially since the pass rate of this exam is like 40%. Yeah, I need to buckle down. But how do I do that in a way that's simple but still like enjoyable?
Yeah, it looks like I'm still working on this, but here's a quick recap of all the things you need to set you up for 2025. Happy planning.